Hello, go getters. What's up? This is very exciting. All right, small business owner. Hello, go getters. What's up? So we're going to guys, what's up? So we're talking with a small business owner today. Oh, I love y'all too.
There we go. Good afternoon, evening for you, I guess.
Yes. How are you, Leland?
Doing great. How are
Good,
you? How are you?
good. Leland, you don't have a professional account on Instagram, right? This is not a business account, right?
No, this is the one I use though. I do have a business account for my
Okay.
business, actually for both of them, but this is kind of I'm kind of my sales process now is really utilizing my brand. So I'm using my personal account.
Okay. Because I don't think we can add a paid partnership tag if it's not a business account.
Okay.
So I can add the tag with your account now. But because we're probably going to do this again, we can add your business account, okay?
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So, Leland, what time is it there now?
It is 2 p.m. I'm in Vancouver on the West Coast,
Okay.
so right up against the ocean. And you're Eastern time zone,
Eastern
right?
time zone, and we're like under this big hurricane, watch, and it's kind of scary actually.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that in the news actually. That's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a sunny fall day actually here, and the it's been rainy, but not what you guys are getting. Not even close.
Yeah, the winds are like pretty
Yeah,
crazy. Not gonna
yeah.
Not gonna lie. So fantastic. Well, Leland, I know you're a busy man, you're a go-getter, so we're gonna keep this right on the schedule here. So first of all, thank you all for joining. I know we'll get more go-getters here joining just kind of throughout. But really wanted to take this opportunity to highlight really go-getters who I think are super inspiring and who I think are just doing big things, for themselves, for the community, for the world. And then that, part of my sort of DNA, everybody who's kind of here, hopefully you're all following me, that is, I believe in inspiring others to be go-getters and also to give them sort of that blueprint, of how to go get your goals. Because so many people following me, we're almost at 1 million go-getters total now. I feel like
Wow.
we're, yeah, so confused about, what should their path be? What do they want to do, right? Hello, Seth. So we're taking this moment to really highlight small business owners like Leland. So without further ado, let's get started, Leland. Just give us a quick background about who you are, and then, we have some questions that we've both kind of agreed on that we can get into after that.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. Um, I'll keep it high level and summarize myself as quickly as possible. But basically, I call myself a former tough guy. I grew up with very humble beginnings. Uh, in my 20s, I was a hip hop artist, actually a touring hip hop artist. But more importantly, I owned an independent hip hop label. Lived a very different life than I do now at 41. But about 12, 13 years ago, I became a full-time single dad. So I have an incredible 12-year-old son. And what happened at that point in my life is I really pivoted and started focusing on my creative aspect, but also my business oriented aspect, and just really leaned into growing my career in the digital marketing space and tech space. And so where I'm at now is I'm a director at at a pretty big university out here on the West Coast, an awesome university, actually. It's a polytechnic. And then I'm also a serial side hustler. So I have a small tech consulting business called Dieno Digital that I've been doing honestly since high school. So it's like 20 years old. I service some of the biggest Canadian Canadian restaurants and grocers to a lot of small tech startups, and I keep busy. But I am a workaholic. Work is my therapy. And I've said that, and I'll work until I say I'm going to be 90 years old on my laptop at the lake. So I'm also the founder of a charity, a registered charity here. I'm a partner in about 3 or 4 little startups that are all now profitable, which is very cool to see. And I just started a tea company. I'm selling tea because I love tea. So that's kind of who I am.
What? Okay, so wait, why do you like tea so much? This
I, my grandparents, half of my family's from Germany, the other half's from England, and my English grandparents who are both passed away now. I grew up spending a lot of time with them, and it was like tea time 3 times a day, black Earl Grey, orange Pico. So it was always a part of my childhood, and I've never been a coffee drinker, just tea. So it was kind of like on my bucket list. CPG brands, like you can't make a lot of money, but it's just a passion, and I've figured out a way to kind of to source some really cool premium tea blends, and I don't know, it's kind of just cool to go around and say I'm the tea guy now. I'm not the tech guy anymore. I'm the tea guy.
That is awesome. I want to highlight a point. I know we have like specific questions to get into, but
But
I just
whatever
want.
you want to talk about.
Well, no, because Best, you're all great in the business. Okay, I don't know if you know him, but I just want to highlight one thing because a lot of people
I'm
following
on.
me are very.
Yeah, that's business partner. We started a marketing conference here in Canada that's taken off now. So yeah, he's my business partner in the marketing conference. He's a great guy.
Okay, I'm
Make
happy.
sure you follow her. I'm on.
Yes, and follow me, and we'll follow each other. Quick note, Leland, I want to. A lot of people following me are kind of in that crazy life in your teens, early 20s. Just whether you say crazy because you're getting into the wrong stuff, or crazy because you just don't know what you're doing. Just take us through that transition and how you were able to get aligned, and how you were able to really like become that go-getter. Like how did that happen?
Yeah, I think for me, honestly, it did become that point where I had to make the choice for my son. I was in without getting too personal, it was either, you know, he, the situation I was in, he needed me to be a better human being and a better dad, I'm not a better dad. I wasn't a dad at that time, so I had to make a serious decision in my life. But the irony that I found is, and as I reflect on my earlier life, is that I actually was learning a lot of through hustling and what I was doing that I am applying to my life now. And when I think back to it, the mentorship is what I didn't have. And it doesn't have to be like serious mentorship. It just has just those comments from people I didn't have people around me that were doing what I wanted to do. So like, I never registered a business. So the first thing I say, I do mentor and talk to a lot of like grads, so 4th-year marketing students, 4th-year business students, freshly graduated out of university. And I always say, get a job, but also side hustle. Side hustle at the start and register a business, because the tax benefits from registering a business are incredible. And that's the one thing I think is, if you're younger and you're living that life where you're kind of bouncing around and you're not sure, I will say this as a 41-year-old, 40 comes
Yeah.
quick. So start thinking about it, but also put yourself in situations where maybe you're a little uncomfortable, and get that information from people who could just those little snippets, like even, on your lives and when you're posting those little snippets where, there's the bigger picture, the go-getter, which is, that's the pull. But
Yeah.
then also the little tips you give of the little business tips, take that information and run with it. I think that's really important.
Wow. I love that, Leland. And I was just saying, like, your early 20s, like, yeah, 22 to 40. I mean, it's 18 years, right? And it's like, you think about it, and you're like, oh my God, that's like, 5 decades. But it actually does,
Goes
um,
so quick.
does go so quick. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. Thank you. That's great advice. Great advice. Awesome. So let's get into kind of, and again, the way that
I know we're going to run out of time, but I want to ask you a question that I haven't. What was the pivot from engineering to entrepreneurship? What was like the real cause in that pivot?
yeah, the real what?
The the purpose, the cause, what was the design? Like, I know you've talked about it publicly. There's articles all over the internet and stuff, but what was like I mean, an engineering gig, and this is a question I've had as I've watched your content and I've been following you for years
Right.
now, is like, what was because I can envision, I know I have engineer friends,
Yeah.
they're at their desk, they may not love their job, but they're making good money
Yeah.
and it's safe. What was that like? Oh, I'm going to do this and just, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I know.
And now, no, thank you for saying that, Leland, because no, you have been following me for years, and I know that because I've seen you interact with my content for years,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
So I would say that. So a couple of things, it's funny because growing up, I also thought I was like, I'm just gonna stick it out, right? Like industrial engineer, I was at Deloitte, but actually, this is like embarrassing for me to admit, but it became hard to like stick it out, I think that was something that, and I think you know me well enough by now to know that I'm very like this is what I want, this, and so but I never factored in passion, and I never factored in like, what if I hate this? Like, what if going to work every day is so painful that I can't even do it,
Yeah.
And like this was something that was just not part of my, checklist, which is funny because, growing up, I was always called like the girl with the checklist, the girl with the plan. But this was not part of my plan, Leland, which is what if I hate
Yeah.
this job? And what if I'm not convinced that I can even like stay in this job?
Yeah.
So I think for me, that was the turning point where it actually just became very difficult to stay. I mean, I was convinced, I was like, I don't even think I'm that good at this. I just, it was just difficult. It was just difficult to stay. And I was like, I know me. I know that I'm meant for something bigger. I know that my talents are like so much, which are not really being used here, and so I think that was the pivot. But all this to say, entrepreneurship requires a lot of energy. So I think I'm still up leveling so many years later, but it's not easy to just like do your own thing and like make enough money to live and like build a whole brand around yourself. So I've done a lot, but I think I definitely have some more to go.
Always, there's always more to go, right? There's always room.
Yeah.
There's always more to go for
Yeah.
sure. Cool. Yeah, I just figured I'd take this opportunity to ask you. I know that's gonna cut back on the question on the talk we have, but
No,
that's good. I think that's an important question to ask you.
we're gonna get through these
Okay.
questions, Leland.
Okay.
The people want to know. And also, I have to say, Leland, the biggest request from my audience is, of course, to know about me, but they also want to know about other go-getters, which is why I'm so excited we're doing this, because you will touch upon things that like I haven't either been through or experienced or whatever, right? So, and that's kind of what I want, is I want to build this movement where there's many people that they can look up to, right? It's not
For sure.
just me, not
For
just
sure. For sure.
so let's get into this. I think you have a good answer for this, but give me something spicy, short, sweet, and kind of to the point here. What makes you a go-getter, Leland?
Two things. One is, and it might sound egotistical a little bit, but I have thought a lot about legacy, and not wealth, legacy, but just impact on this world around me and legacy, and what my son thinks about me in the future and things like that. So that is a big part of why I do what I do and why I've always done what I've done. And then the other is necessity. I've worked forever, long time, multiple jobs, multiple businesses, love getting in the mix of it because I need to. I want to provide a good life for my son, and also, do things that I didn't do when I was a kid. So we travel way more than I ever traveled, as an example. So necessity and legacy, those are my purpose, I think, or my driving factors.
Incredible, Leland. And I saw that in the notes that you sent me that you grew up poor, which also teaches you a lot. I don't want to like hate on that. Like I think there's a lot of character building
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I mean, you sort of have this different life for your son. Basically, your son's childhood is very different than
100%, which is an interesting thing, because as a parent, you don't want, especially since I grew up with limited means, you don't want your son to become your child to become entitled, right? So he's still accountable, right? And still has to mow the lawn and do chores, and he works for me, actually. He's on my payroll. He's 12 years old. He's learning it young.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
No, As you should, because I think, you know, my dad says this. He goes, I want to provide you a safety net, but you also have to fly. Like, I think that's
Oh, that's
a
brilliant.
really
Yeah.
beautiful, like, thought, because I think for kids who don't have any safety net, it is a little hard, I'll be honest, because a lot of those people follow me, and I can feel the trauma. I can,
Yeah.
like, it's hard. Like,
It's definitely hard.
how you grew up is not like what you would want for everyone. But
That's
at
right.
the time, you know, you want your kid to fly, you want your kid to, you know, do their own thing. I love that. That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I'll
But I think what you just said is important because I think that your followers get, that interaction with you, even though, you're busy, but even it might be quick, is that acknowledgement of their struggle and what they're going through, right? When they hear, you're the type of person that you might be too busy to message back, but you give that fire emoji if something's cool, if someone says something good to you, right? So that, I think that's important. And we're losing a lot of that in the world these days. So for them to have that outlet and be able to interact with you, I think is a good thing for
Wow,
sure.
that's amazing. Thank you for saying that. And also, like, I think our struggles can't be ignored. You know, we're where we are because of where we came from. You know, so
For
if
sure.
like ignore what everybody's going through, like, I don't think that's particularly helpful.
Agreed.
You So I love that. I love that. I'll add in a quick note from me, Leland. I think what makes me a go-getter is just, yeah, like, I think just self-belief, like really like believing in myself, believing that, you know, I know what I want to do. I know the world that I want to create, and I want to create that world and charge access to enter that world. You know, I mean, that's in a
Yeah.
nutshell, which is why like Disney is such a great inspiration. Just Disney World, Disney as a brand. I mean, if you think about it, like, it's all made up, right? But people are charging to access
For that
that
experience.
world.
Yep.
Yeah, so I love that. I love that. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, so I think you've answered this already, Lillian, but I'm curious, like, have you always had that hustle? Even when you were in your 20s, it sounds like you were still doing a lot. Like, you weren't just sitting on your, you know, tushy.
Yeah, on my tush. No, I was, yeah, like I said, I was a mediocre hip hop artist. I got to tour, like I went to Europe and I was touring and working with some bigger names here, which was fun,
Yeah.
not profitable fun, but at the same time I was running an independent hip hop label and doing show promotions, and that's where my money came from in my 20s.
Okay.
But I mean, I think honestly, it probably started when I was like 10. I remember my dad he'd randomly import things for some reason. I don't remember why, because he didn't like sell them a lot. I can't really remember, but I'd like always like he'd import like books or watches. There were these water powered
Wow.
watches. It was bizarre. So it was like the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
And so I'd get like 10 of them and I'd go sell them. Like I was just always figuring out ways to provide value or services or sell products. I think it's ingrained in me. I think when you grow up with little
Yeah.
means and you're like, hey, I can make 15 bucks and I'm doing it in an
Yeah.
okay way. And I can go to the corner store and get some pop and chips. I'm going to do that. Right. So
Right.
yeah, at a very young age, it started.
Yeah. And
Different. Yeah.
I'm not surprised, Leland, because I see that in a lot of my just people that I follow, as well as people who follow me, that if you grew up poor, basically your drive towards entrepreneurship seems to be a lot greater.
Yeah. I think I found it's kind of, you can go kind of two ways when you're in that struggle, right? There is that other path of relying on government and just not, and again, I don't blame anyone who's in that situation because
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Right.
Like you think back to our parents raising us and it was hard, right? Like it's not an easy life, but then yes, there's the other side that we really push envelopes and want to create and there's a bit of a chip on the shoulder too, right? Like I grew up with I didn't have the new shoes and the new clothes and so I grew up with the secondhand stuff and so now I'm like, you know what,
Mm.
I'm not gonna be crazy with my money, but if I like if I wear Air Force Ones. I love my Nike Air Force Ones. I buy hats and shoes. That's all I buy for myself. But I buy them because I can.
Yeah.
And it feels good, right?
That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible. And I
Yeah.
just obviously I think you're amazing, but I one thing that I really want to highlight, because the more I think about it, the more I realize how unique this is. Most people following me, Leland, are actually trying to move social classes. which is interesting because if you think about maybe motivational speaker, some people just need motivation because they're struggling or whatever. Most people who follow me, a lot of that is because of the background that I come from, kind of middle class, whereas I'm trying to rise to wealthy.
The next one. Yeah.
It makes sense that that's who follows me, which is why I'm very inspired and just moved by any person who's done that, because I actually think that that's really hard to do.
Super hard, right? And it's especially when you don't have the everything in place to teach you
Yeah,
or tell you what to do. Like
yeah,
how people, a lot of my, 40 and up,
yeah,
we're like, man, if I only got into real estate 20
yeah,
years ago, like where would I'd be a millionaire right
yeah,
now. My whole life, my family tree would
yeah,
change, right? But we didn't.
yeah.
Um, and there's those, there are those who did. So, but yeah, no, I think it's incredible to see entrepreneurs build something, watch it scale and become profitable, and then literally change their lives. Like that's just incredible, right?
It is incredible, but also I just want to add for those of you listening too, like don't hate on the past, because my dad says this all the time too. He's like, "Well, I, only started saving for retirement at 38, and what if I was 25?" And I'm like, you can't do that, because that was not your, path, and because I mean, where a lot of us come from, it's hard to just like be a billionaire from there. Like we come from struggles. I mean, how
Oh, 100. Yeah.
like
I don't have, like I say, I don't have any regrets. Like my path is my path. And even the fact that like I can buy $200 shoes now, that's a
that's
lot to me.
a lot.
So and I mean, one pair of $200 shoes is not the end, but like the fact that I have a 30 pair collection of $200 shoes is like, it's like, I'm in a good place.
Yeah,
And it's, you're exactly right. You can't dwell on what you didn't
yeah,
do, but because there's still a lot of runway in life, right? No matter where you're at.
100.
So yeah, I agree.
100. And I think something that I've also been thinking about is every person, like Leland, even your child has a different destiny. So, like with my dad, he was obsessed with, he's like, you're going to be at Deloitte, like MBA, but like that's not my energetic composition.
Yep.
My energetic composition was not sort of the stick it out, even though, like, I'm telling you, that is what I wanted to do. But I would say probably the more you're getting to know me, you know that I'm probably not the best fit for corporate America. I
Right.
mean, just,
A little bit of a disruptor,
yeah,
right? In the meetings, I would see you might get right.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Why are you on TV? Like, this is not allowed. And, so all this to say, even as a father, the dreams that you have for your son, but you don't even know who your son is because he's
That's right.
12.
I mean,
You
he could become an artist. There's who knows what and I'll support it either way. I don't think entrepreneurship is the only path for people to see success or to have a fulfilled life. I think there's lots of different ways and paths to have a fulfilled life. Like, I know people that live in the rural countryside and they don't have a lot, but they love where they live and they're at peace and they just love their
Yeah.
life. And that can be fulfilling too, right?
100%. And honestly, some may argue that the more money, the more fame, the more like the more crazy.
That's right.
The
Yeah.
more
Right. More money, more problems, like Biggie said. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I love that. Okay, so tell us, Leland, what are you working on now? So just ideas, thoughts. Obviously, you mentioned the tea business. Anything else that you're excited about right now, and then any milestones coming up for you this year, next year? Um,
Yeah. I'm working on a project right now to actually, I'm very passionate about the outdoors, rural Canada. So I'm working on a side project of documenting. I want to basically have a vault, a site online that tells the story of every rural community in Canada. So that I've started that, and it's been a cool process, and that's that kind of what I'm working on. In terms of my business, Dieno Digital is like I said, like I'm a serial entrepreneur, serial side hustler, serial worker. Working is my therapy. It brings me fulfillment. My business it's incredible. Every time I've been like, oh, I need to slow down a little bit and do a little less, that's when the referrals start coming in. Oh, can you help us do this, this, and this? So I have some really cool tech projects I'm working on with some CRM integrations and things like that. And that's what I'm looking at. I think milestones, I don't think I know if I could say one milestone. I think that I'm really excited about AI and what it's doing to the tech space right now. So that's something that I'm also really focused on.
Wow. I'm just curious. So there's so much conversation. And if you follow my content, I have pivoted a little bit to really highlighting like work-life balance. Literally, I posted the other day, I said, I want to be overpaid and underworked.
100%.
Uh, on that note, like, how do you feel about that for you?
I,
Like, my point, you're doing a lot, but do you feel
yeah.
overworked?
So that's the thing is I actually, I've big recommendation is everybody needs to have a counselor or therapy or in some way speak to someone. Like it changed my life. Um, I actually tried to pull away from work because I'm like, okay, I've been doing this since I was 15. I've been working like whether it was school and then jobs. And like I was on the news when I was 16 because I created a website and stuff. So like I've always been doing this stuff is,
Yeah.
I pulled away and you know what I found
Yeah.
personally is that my mental wellness does takes a massive dive when I'm not busy with work. So for me, working a lot, creating, building is my therapy and keeps me at peace. Whereas like for me, it's I don't know if it's ADHD or what it is, but I can't just sit.
Mm.
So like it's even like when I work out, I'm trying to get a big hit. You know, I'm down like 100 and something pounds. Health is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So I'm when I go out and I walk, like I have to not monetize, but I have to data. I have to turn it into some sort of data. So I
Wow.
got a monitor that monitors my health, and I put it in a spreadsheet, and then I want to track it, and then I build a report on my. So it's everything's work to me, I think. But I acknowledge. I think I acknowledge, and I love that that's not for everybody. Like I love. I have friends that are exactly that. They do a premium service like welding or something, make really good money, and then after work is after work, and they're relaxing and they're spending time at their cottage or wherever, traveling, and I love that. It's just not what I find peace in.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
actually like normalize being a hustler, a go-getter, just this is what you do, like you love this. And like what I'm hearing from you is you actually like struggle to relax. Is that
I do. And I'm at the point where it's like, do I want to? I don't think I want to be medicated for it. I like. There's probably something wrong with me. Maybe it's not wrong. There's probably some. I have something, and I just don't know if I want to not be busy. It's not detrimenting my health or my son's well-being. I'm still like I still have blocked off time like that I'm a father first. So I guess maybe I kind of treat parenting like a job, even though it's not.
right?
But like I have like, no, I don't work. I'm not on my phone for work when I'm with my son, that kind of stuff. But yeah, for me, no, for me, I think it's the fulfillment and peace. But again, like I said, I know it's not for everyone. And I love that. I love that we're all can be different and accept the differences in how we find our own peace and fulfillment.
Totally. No, I get that. I get that. I just think I really admire people that, I think are very driven and all of that, but are just like, I'm gonna go, yeah, just take a vacation. I'm gonna go fishing. These are my hobbies. I'm meeting my friends. I'm a big believer of like you should have both. And I'm
100%. I don't disagree. I don't think my lifestyle is for everyone. I think, actually, no, like I get questioned by my circle of friends and family, like, what are you doing? Like, you're nuts. And I'm like, no, you don't understand it. I'll probably turn into an alcoholic if I'm not working. Um, so this is just how I find my peace. But I do love, see, like, I love to travel,
yeah.
but I'll always book a business meeting when I'm traveling because then I write the trip off. So,
Okay, that I admire. That there's
yeah,
a sort of what's that word called? Tactical element there. But I
that's right.
just like working all the time. I know for me is not something that I enjoy, which is like hard for me. I would say, Leland, because as a media personality or something like. I am my work. I am, like the separation is a lot less,
Yeah,
by
for sure.
nature.
But
So
But I mean, I think about this often because I'm not an influencer
yeah,
or a brand. Like I'm not a brand up front. Is that you are though? Even when you're not working, you're working
yeah.
because pictures you're taking are still storytelling your brand, right? So it's you're still about your business. You're
Yeah.
just able to disconnect, which I admire. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm learning that because otherwise, I feel like I will be working all the time and it's just not a very pleasurable experience. I think I'm now big on, like, of course, money, ROI, but I'm also now, Leland, big on pleasure ROI. I'm big on, like, am I happy? I'm big on, is my energy tank full? Because if it's not, then, I don't know what I'm doing, so.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally get it 100%. I hope someday in my life I'm able to do that disconnect. I really do. But for now I think it's keeping me moving. Keeping me my mind focused and busy and healthy. So yeah. But yeah, I appreciate the the ability to do that. It's actually something I admire, I think, that people who can do that.
People who can disconnect.
People who can disconnect. It's a like I'm not an Instagram, like I don't sit on Instagram for
Yeah.
hours, but like if I have 2 hours, I'm gonna go come up with an idea to build a website and I'm gonna go build it. So
You're
it's
nuts.
like, yeah.
You're
Yeah, right.
nuts.
It's
I love
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, last question,
Yes.
which is your parting advice to go-getters who are watching, who follow both of us, because I mean, your audience is also very, entrepreneurial and all of that. Yeah, just parting advice to them, and also parting advice to people, Leland, who maybe are struggling to be go-getters, right? Because people who follow me, I mean, sometimes like I mean, I'm just talking to my friends. I mean, they're just various struggles,
Yeah.
right? Some not necessarily run-ins with the law, but maybe run-ins with the law slash drugs slash alcohol slash
Yeah.
any kind of addiction slash the wrong friends. I mean, life is life. Life keeps lifing, as I say. So, what is your advice to just that demographic? Divorce.
Yeah,
Um,
right. All that stuff. Yeah. Now there's so much in life that it's just seasons of figuring things out. Yeah, I think I mean it's probably what I was going to say to the answer this question has probably changed just because of our discussion now. I think you know, all I do recommend or I always say hold yourself accountable.
yeah.
Always hold yourself accountable. But at the same time, figure out a way to find peace in knowing that if you work hard, stay true to what you want to do and stay on the path, the outcome will get there. You'll get to that outcome in some way. It might not be exactly how you envision it,
Yeah.
but you'll get there. And then the other thing is, I mean, reach out to good people. You have one right here. Shoot her a message. I have been for years. Just always get that fire emoji back. But feel free. Yeah, make sure that you're getting that outlet to be able to hear from people and engage with them. I think that can give you those little tidbits. But yeah, just know struggle is hard. It doesn't, and your struggle might feel like it's less than somebody else's, but that's not how you have to look at it. Your struggle is your
Yeah.
struggle, and your trauma is your trauma. So just try to find peace in knowing that if you stay the course, it'll be
That's
okay.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Leland, I want to add one note, which I've been really sort of going through myself, which is, we like I'm Indian, so we come from this perfectionist culture, right? Which is to say that there is very little room for failure. There is very little room for like messing up or for like finding yourself because people will be like, what do you mean? You're 40, you're 30. How have you not found yourself? I think I want to just add one note here, which is to all the go-getters here that life is a journey, Leland, and I think if anything business has taught me that because even if I was sitting here, Leland, and I'm a millionaire and I'm a this, I'm probably going to have other problems, so all this to say that your mistakes or just things that you're dealing with that you're struggling with, it's not the end, because I get a lot of messages about that. They're like, oh, I've been fired, I got divorced for the second time, like it's over for me. And
Yeah,
like that would be my just addition to what you said is I don't think I think it's over when you're dead for sure. But I think before that it's not over.
agreed.
uh, because I think people following me, everything. I mean, even just right now, we're going through this hurricane. I mean, there will be people who will lose their homes, their lives, whatever. But it's like that. That doesn't have to be the end. I mean, of course, if you lose your life, that's the end. But if you lose your home, like there are ways to, start
Yeah,
over. And I think that, especially for my culture, Leland, there's very little tolerance for starting over, and there's very little tolerance for failure. So I think my goal also with my movement is to just broaden that sort of horizon and capability for the Indian community, African community, Latino community, that like, no, it's okay to fail. And also, like, what if you fail? What if you fail out of
Yeah.
college? Happen, right? But that doesn't mean that has to be like death, you know?
Yeah, I learned. So I went over to India in 2019. I have a, I started a development company, web development company with a guy from India, and I went there in 2019. Met him, came back, we built the company. He does a lot of my web dev and stuff for me. I have learned so much from the Indian culture specifically through him and then other friends. And I've seen it. Like I have a friend he immigrated to Canada. He actually works with me, and the pressure he gets from his family back in India
Yeah.
about how he's situated in Canada is just, it's different than how I grew up, right? Our culture is different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've learned a lot. I could envision and imagine there's that additional layer of pressure you have there with every critical moment in life that you're dealing with something. There's also this cultural pressure, and it's real for sure. I didn't know it was real until I went there and then met people and had them a part of my life. So I would agree with that for sure. Being outside, not experiencing it myself, of course.
What I'm curious, like, what is his like family saying? Are they giving like financial advice? Are they giving?
Why aren't you
Yeah.
married? Um, when that type of thing. Do you own a home? Why aren't you married yet?
Yeah.
Um, Career stuff, just everything, all the same stuff you kind of mentioned, um, those same kind of things where it's you should have this all figured out right now.
Mm.
Um,
Well, and I think
and I think that's
what I'm also learning, Leland, is the people who seemingly have it all figured
they
out,
don't
their runway might be shorter. So they figured it out, then now what? Whereas I think people like us and maybe even your friend, we're always evolving, we're always growing. So I would say that our runway is a little bit longer,
for sure,
of sense of like where we want to go, what we want to do. And also now, something that I definitely struggle with at times is there are so many avenues and opportunities to go down, and especially as women, where we come from a culture where really no one had any opportunity. And so, like, I think all this to say that sometimes the answer genuinely is that, hello, I am actually figuring this out.
for
I
sure.
don't know if I want to own a home,
That's
right?
right.
I don't know if I want to get married or what. I mean, these are again the comments and suggestions that people send me, that they genuinely don't know if they want to get married. So with all this pressure and all from the outside, for go-getters, it's like, no, like you have to push back and say that, I'm figuring it out. This is my life. And, we'll see. Because I think older generations, there was sort of this like one path, right? And there's this like one path. Whereas like and even like I'm 32, right? So 32, 41, right? And so like we have a lot more opportunity than I would say our parents and grandparents and great grandparents.
Yes,
So the the
absolutely.
same, the same timelines and milestones, I don't think apply as well, right?
I agree 100. Yeah, you said that perfectly. I agree 100%. Yeah.
So no, I love that. I love that. Leland, do not to put you on the spot, but final, just give me like that one liner, like advice for go-getters, present and future.
Stay the course. So I'm gonna say, stay the course. Find peace and stay the course. That's it. That's what I'll leave you with.
It's good. I love it.
Right.
I would say
Awesome.
my advice is that don't let mistakes end you. Mistakes are part of your journey to being a go-getter, and they will build the picture that you want to create. So,
Incredible.
love
It was great. Thank you so much for having me on
it.
this. It was awesome.
Of course, I want to have you back. Obviously, I
Yes.
want to invite more small business owners. I want to have you back. And yeah, did you all enjoy this? People who are still here, noted. Yeah. Let
Awesome.
us message him. Obviously, follow Leland. He's a great small business owner, entrepreneur, hustler, go-getter, and likewise for me as well. And thank you so much, Leland, for your time
Yeah.
and
Thank
for your friendship.
you.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Looking forward to chatting again. Have a great day or evening, I should say. Bye.